Larry Goldberg joins us for this afternoon's version of whatever this show is called. You know, Larry, I've never come up with a brand for the show. I mean, this is called, Friday.
I thought Randy Kirk was the brand.
It is. Randy Kirk is the brand. So the Randy Kirk show. But anyway, I have
Maybe it should be called Randy Kirk Show. All right, Randy Kirk Show.
The Randy Kirk show. Anyway, Larry, I caught you earlier today on the Herbert's channel, and you were talking about the Delaware court hearing.
Yeah.
And everybody on the panel, I think Boomer Mama and Jeff Lutz all seemed to feel that the results were quite good. I only heard two, I think I got cut off. You guys were talking about that whether rescission is the right remedy, and also whether there should have been, and it should have been other remedies considered, and there wasn't. And then the bigger issue is whether there's any previous case law suggesting that there was even an issue. and the plaintiff came up with just one, which the judge said, that's not a good.
Well, one of the judges
said, that's not even an example. Anyway, so was there more? Did I miss anything? Can you just give me your take?
I think the most powerful moment of the case. Look, everybody poo-pooed what the other side argued, but they argued the law quite vociferously and quite skillfully. I mean, clearly they were skillful, even though I guess they had the judge on their side, quote unquote. We all believe that they did, and certainly she appeared to be that way. But the most powerful moment of the day, I felt, wasn't the good questions from the judge, or the kind of the other side, the anti-Tesla side, anti-shareholder side,
the plaintiff.
The plaintiff. I didn't want to say plaintiff. I mean, it sounds too good. It sounds too good. He was a nasty guy. No, he wasn't a nasty guy. He was actually quite a good lawyer, I have to say. But he argued all the points of law, how that for this technical reason and that technical reason and that technical reason, you can't go back. And you can't go back. And once you can't go back, then, whatever happened after the thing, you can't go back.
Right.
And the original call was correct because the directors were very bad. But the summing up by the last guy to appear for Tesla, the third guy, I think, to appear for Tesla, was masterly. He said, look, it's very simple. The shareholders, in a fully informed vote, second time around, 72% compared to 73% the time before, wanted this deal. And they wanted this deal reinstated. And there are three paths he gave, three distinct legal paths for the judges to turn it, to reverse it, because it was the right thing to do, because that's what the shareholders wanted. The whole case, with all the legal ramifications, was all about the shareholders were misled.
Right.
That was the sum of the case. And then, even when the second vote came in, the judge was convinced herself, or she made the decision that you can't go back. You can't go back to you can't change, for technical reasons, you can't change the court's decision by the guys who harmed saying, look, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
We now know everything you said that was bad, and we still want it.
Right.
So he said that, that's patently wrong in law and wrong in fairness, wrong in the equity.
Yes.
And there are three paths he gave the judges, as I said. The one path is equity. That's what the shareholders wanted. You say that the directors did wrong and that they can't right their wrong. But that doesn't mean that the person who was wronged should be hurt as a result.
Right.
He said it's similar to when a trustee does something wrong in regard to the beneficiaries. You still give the beneficiaries what they want, as long as they can get what they deserve, what was rightfully theirs.
Yeah.
The trustee may be wrong, may still be liable for whatever they did wrong, but the beneficiaries must be put into the condition
Yeah.
that they would deserved.
So that's interesting. They sued the wrong people.
Well,
if they wanted to sue, they would sue the trustees.
They did sue the right people. They sued the directors and they sued the company, but the point is that the beneficiaries were the shareholders, and they're the ones that suffered.
Right. And Elon was a beneficiary.
But the point is that the people who had the right to make the decision,
right,
their decision that they made was their decision that they made the first time was an uninformed decision.
Yes.
But when they were fully informed of the decision and of the court's findings regarding the decision, they still decided they wanted that.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the first path, and then he gave a technical path with this case that the judge actually asked the plaintiff attorney about the rescission versus some other. So that was a technical thing where the guy was using precedent not on rescission but on a different disgorgement.
Disgorgement, right.
And the plaintiff attorney tried to say, well, it's rescission and disgorgement are the same thing. They're the other side. They're two sides of the same coin, because rescission is where you haven't yet got the benefit, we're taking it away from you. Disgorgement is you got the benefit, we're taking it away from you. But unfortunately, his argument fails because it depends on which side of the decision you make the decision. You are making the action. So the second path he gave was that disgorgement. And the third path was a legal path that I didn't entirely align with or understand or even now remember because it was technical, and it had to do with whether the court had to pay attention to the vote after the court had reached its decision.
Okay. Yeah. The second vote.
The second vote. I think. I don't recall it because it didn't make much sense to me. It was legal. Anyway, he gave the court three legitimate bases, and I guess the court could take all three.
Yeah.
Just for the purpose of making points in law. Because even if they fail on two of the three, any one of the three would be sufficient to actually win the case, to actually win the case. But, it would have to be somebody who really loved the complexity of law to not see the simple reality of this case.
Right.
The shareholders wanted this. Okay, if the court said they weren't fully informed, now they're fully informed. Don't punish them. Punish the guys who didn't fully inform them. But, give them what they want. After all, that's the point of protecting the shareholders.
So,
anyway.
So Larry, back when Warren and I went through this case in detail and really tried to figure out what we thought the legal situation was, we came up with about 9 errors that we thought were important. But the one that I was most convinced of, and I think that they mentioned it a little bit, but I'm just wondering if they really hammered it home, was that the decision the rescission in this case was really completely the wrong remedy because it left the employee, in this case, with absolutely no compensation for 4 or 5 years of work. So if you want to, it should have been rescission in part, or it should have been
They should have
something
come up with a firm number.
with a fair number.
But I think they did send it back to the directors to come up with something more reasonable. So I don't think the court felt it was necessary. I think the court sent it back. That's what I remember. Well, I don't know I remember.
I don't think so. I think that there was no alternative given by the judge. The judge said it's not fair, and then she didn't say what was fair or how they should come to a fair conclusion. Anyway, I just was curious if you heard any of that argument being made or not.
No, I mean, that argument was implied because, they said over and over and over again, this was a massive risk. He had to earn a General Motors for every benchmark, and he had to do Fords or General Motors every single benchmark. And how could that be? And everybody thought he wouldn't make it, but after I mean,
yeah,
he made very strong points, but the guys for Tornado, the Tornado side of the case, argued the law in very technical terms, and brought up precedent after precedent after precedent, some of which we understand they misquoted, but nonetheless they had a lot of precedents. And so they were really focused on the law. And the other thing that should be said is that the Tesla lawyers said, look, you can pay these lawyers, but you don't not pay them this kind of ridiculous amount of money. Here's the lodestar, here's the norm. You can pay them this norm times the lodestar, and that is what is the right number, for this case. I can't, I wrote a piece about this. I don't know if you recall.
Way back when, yeah.
I did some research into what is normal and what is fair, not what is fair, but what is normal. In Delaware, prior to this crazy woman becoming chancellor and this crazy vice chancellor, I wrote a fairly comprehensive study, and I was quoting 2 comprehensive studies of what the federal rate is compared to the lodestar and what the Delaware is. And what's interesting is before these 2 crazies got onto the bench, Delaware was always below the federal level. Once they came onto the bench, Delaware shot above them, and then that was Laster. When she became chancellor, then it went through the roof. And then Tesla.
Right. Yeah. On top of that.
It wasn't Tesla that took it through the roof.
Yeah.
It had already gone through the roof. Tesla just multiplied that by some factor. And it's like nothing has ever happened quite like it in the history of federal and Delaware law.
It's crazy. Larry, you and I over the years have talked about, you just mentioned General Motors and Ford. We've talked over the years about, how long would General Motors and Ford, stay in business, but it used to be based on Tesla selling 20 million cars. Well, the Tesla selling 20 million cars is kind of off the table now because every CyberCab will be worth 5 cars. So we don't need to get to 20 million, but we maybe want to get to 7, 8, something around there, counting
Much more than 5 cars, by the way.
Maybe more than 5, but that's what Elon.
Not maybe more. Much more.
Much more. Okay. I'm talking about in terms of taking cars off the road. Elon always uses 5.
Yeah, no, I concede that, taking cars off the road. Absolutely correct.
So you don't need to make as many cars because you're not,
but the lifetime earnings of a car.
Oh, yes.
Robotaxis many times. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, given this week, three big headlines on Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, Ford, Jim Farley saying, gosh, I went to China. These guys are great.
No, he didn't even say great. He
He's-
said these guys are going to destroy us.
Then General Motors comes out and goes, never mind. We're gonna completely, not completely stop their EV program, but we're gonna take a big
And it
hit.
was within the last year that she said they're still going to beat Tesla.
Right, right. And then Stellantis comes out and they're moving a lot of their factories from Canada. They're going to spend $8 billion, which I'm sure Mr. Trump is happy about. But they're going to spend $8 billion in the United States building new factories, and they seem to be the closest one to being gasping for breath. But they're going to spend $8 billion. It seemed to me like I'm looking at Sears here.
I predict that they will not spend the 8 million. I
$8
predict
billion.
that they will sink before they sell that 8 million. They'll have to stop.
Okay, all right, yeah. So
I mean, Europe is in dire trouble. Stellantis doesn't have any other market other than Europe. I mean, functional market other than Europe and the United States.
right, right.
I mean, they have a franchise in trucks in the United States. They have a franchise in the Jeep in the United States. Whether that's enough to maintain them and spend 8 million,
$8 billion, $8 billion.
I mean 8 billion. I doubt.
So how long for Ford and General Motors? 2035, or do they go sooner?
You know, it's really hard to say. I think, you know, do they combine forces and go down together? Do they? I don't know what they do. You know, if we get into a war, do they become armaments manufacturers again and then, revive themselves that way? If I'm running Ford or GM, I'm gonna, I have to go to the union and say, because this is a big issue. The union is everything. It's everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to go to the union and say, guys, we're in our last breath. Are you going to support us, or are we going to all go down? And if we're going to go down, let's call it a day now.
Now, yeah.
Let's not drive our shareholders' value into the ground. Look, and the other issue is, I don't know. Look, they don't have many great choices. And Farley said as much.
Yeah. I don't know what their choice is, other than licensing Tesla's engineering, or something of that. But then they'll still have the same workforce. And so I don't know how they get around that workforce.
Well, they get around that workforce by a huge amount of automation, a huge reduction in workforce, employment.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. On another similar subject, we've got Brian Wang, Jeff Lutz, and I all agreeing. Are you ready? That by 2028, Tesla US will no longer be making vehicles with steering wheels. And you say?
I really wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. All right. 2028. So you're joining
Farzad's on the kick that we should be making CyberCabs for
steering wheels
for sale with steering wheels. I'd say sell the CyberCab, retail to customers who want to buy it without the steering wheel. What's the point of a steering wheel today?
Right. Yeah, it would seem to me that if you got the regulatory approval, which, hopefully maybe that's another subject you and I can talk about. Okay, so we're in agreement on the 2028. We're in agreement that we don't need steering wheels in CyberCabs.
Can I just say about 2028?
Yeah.
I'm not one to say, oh, we're going to do this by 2028. I think that's not a bad target date. Mm-hmm. It could be 2027, it could be 2030. It doesn't matter. What matters is the direction and the rate of increase and the rate of reduction. So
you don't want me to quote you as agreeing with us, Larry?
Yeah, I don't want you to quote you as agreeing. I want to say directionally, you're right. The date doesn't matter.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about federal regulations. So we've got Mr. Duffy, who's a friend of Elon's. We've got the President of the United States, who apparently is a friend of Elon's again. They have just made a statement at NHTSA that they will be revising the rules with regard to automated cars in the spring. That's way too late. Do you think that there will be something before that, like next month?
No, it's not too late.
It's not too
It's
late.
not too late. No. I think the spring will bring, I think the spring will be valuable because we will have experienced some months of Tesla being without drivers in at least Austin.
Mm-hmm.
We will have Tesla in 4 or 5 cities. I think that would be a really good set of evidence for these guys to confirm what they need to have confirmed before they publish what they're going to publish.
Mm-hmm.
If they publish something tomorrow, there's going to be too much defensiveness in those documents.
Mm.
In fact, it may even be, later than the spring, given how government works. But I'm not afraid of that. I think it's fine. Everybody wants everything to happen tomorrow, everything to happen yesterday. Guys, it's okay. Can happen next June. It's fine.
I think the concern, Larry, was not.
I'm the 79-year-old. I don't know what all these youngsters are going on about. Yeah, anyway, sorry, you're saying the concern is what?
I don't think it's so much about the stock price going up, and I think it's more about the timing of the manufacturing of the CyberCabs. So
I think the CyberCabs can be manufactured in the interim, no problem.
Okay, so they get sold retail, or they get
No. They use for robotaxis.
but 2,500 is the maximum unless there's a change.
I think you're not going to have more than 2,500 out there in the spring anyway.
Oh, okay. All right.
Seriously.
Okay. So if we start ramping in January or February, you think that they'll only have 2,500 by March 21st?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. All right.
In fact, I wouldn't be amazed to hear that the government checked in with Tesla about is that going to work?
Yeah, okay. Could very well be.
When they start manufacturing, they're going to deliver 10 cars. Those cars have to go and get processed by the federal government, by the Department of Transport, certified. They have to go through some rigorous tests and some crash tests. Manufactured cars off the production line, exactly the way they're going to be delivered. That's going to take the whole of January. There could be a delivery event in January for that matter. They're still not going to take the road until late February, mid to late February.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Then we're already in March. I mean, they probably won't have 2,500 cars on the road.
All right. So you told me, I know I saw a little bit about it, but I didn't pay attention, that we got more sightings of CyberCabs driving around at Texas.
Yeah. There were a couple of videos of CyberCabs driving around the factory, first time in several months. And there was a crash test of a CyberCab today. I think 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐲 reported. I hope that he did report it on a public channel and not to my not on a private message to me. Joe, I'm sorry if I've screwed up.
There you go.
It looks to me like we saw a white CyberCab, a picture of a white CyberCab today, and that indicates to me that came off it's an early production prototype. So I think we're getting close to production. I think, we're probably dialing in production. There will be a bunch of cars produced and they'll have to go to destructive testing. Then there'll be a bunch of cars produced, the first 28 or whatever the number is, I don't know what the regs are, delivered to, NHTSA. then, so, and it's the first cars that the regulator will be seeing without steering wheel. So
Ever. Yeah. The earnings call is Wednesday.
yes, sir.
So there's always two questions that I need to hear from you on the earnings call. Not that we can't talk about it on Monday again, but number one is the street is at 55 cents. Multiple analysts are saying they think that that's low, that there's going to be a beat. And I don't know, you don't do the details anymore, but what's your sense?
My sense is that 55 cents is in the vicinity. It could be on the low end of this vicinity. And I think the high end is like 65. So, it could be in the 60 range.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
sorry.
I've got 75 cents.
Whoa.
Mostly because of energy. Because you got 3.5 more gigawatts deployed.
That's true, but you've got a factory spooling up, and so there are always costs associated with the initial batches.
That could be. Yeah, I didn't take that into consideration.
And there's price pressure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, that's how I came up. That's why I'm thinking it's closer to 75. That the cars will be pushing up the number because there was more of them. They probably had higher margins. But then if you add in 3.5 gigawatts is a bunch. So that would be a very nice bump right there.
Cash flow is going to be awesome.
Awesome. Yes, but it might not be so awesome in December. I mean, in fourth quarter. Okay. And then the second part of the question that we always have on earnings call is top of mind questions that you're hoping Elon answers, not questions that'll be asked.
I went through the say questions on Cyber Bulls.
Yeah.
And I think they burnt like 50% of or 60% of the questions, asking questions that Elon's just not going to answer.
I can answer, right.
So my question is, I would like his sense. He talked three meetings ago, investor calls ago, and reaffirmed it even more strongly in the last call about this transition of the company. I wanted to get a sense from him, having seen that, it looks like Optimus may be delayed somewhat or not, and the batteries didn't come in quite when they were supposed to, and where we are with the robot. Does he have a sense that the transition to the new Tesla will be complete in the coming 2026 year, such that we will come out of the year with our robotaxis, in full operation, CyberCabs in operation, and the first deliveries of the bot having been made. Without getting into detail, does he have a sense that this transition that he spoke about almost a year ago, three quarters ago, will have been completed in the 2026 period?
Right. Yeah.
That's my question.
Right. So I think the hardest one of those is Optimus. And we just had that information last week about, and we don't know the details yet, but of that Chinese company.
More correctly, we don't know the truth of it.
We don't know the truth of it. Well, we seem to at least have a company name who didn't deny it. And what Jeff was saying,
China.
What Jeff was saying was we don't know at what level the order is right now. It could just be a letter of intent.
Indicator, yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know that, but it would seem to me if it turns out that there's an order in for actuators, that would be a very good sign that we're getting pretty close.
I agree. That's why I framed the question the way I framed it. I framed it, not that we're making deliveries,
right.
Not that we have the bots in the factory, but that the transition has taken place and Optimus is in a position where we're ready to start, that business is underway.
Right.
I mean, I don't care about the detail of the deliveries or the detail of the shipping of the Optimus or the details of the which cities and what percentage and blah, blah, blah. I want to know in their planning, in their strategy, what the state of the business is going to be as we exit 2026. I mean, I would frame the question, Elon, can you cast your thinking now to the end of 2026? And do you see that the transition of Tesla to a, robotaxi-based, bot-based business has been complete, and that we're in the phase of shipping, of building out the robotaxi network globally, of shipping, beginning to ship the bots, and that, operationally, the firm has made the transition. That's how I would frame it.
Okay. All right. Good. I like it. I like it.
And I will tell you this. The answer to that question could move more stock price. Not that it's my intention, but it can move more stock price than if he said they're going to deliver 16 robotaxis on this and that day, and 3,000 on that date, and 15,000 on that date. 100 times more impact.
Just by saying, don't look. By the end of next year, you will know that we're no longer a car company. We're an AI company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry,
well, I would be more, I was more specific than that. I really talked about. Right. I would also add into that the energy business, that the three that we have, 3 functioning plants and possibly a new plant somewhere, or some sense of what the rate of expansion of the energy plant is going to be.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
And that the models, that whatever your model, whatever your plans are for the models, how confident are you of the roadmap for the vehicles? How confident are you that, you'll be on delivery schedule, that your delivery schedule will be met? I may add batteries to that, but I don't want to pin him down to a specific product or a specific date. I want to get a sense of how he's thinking about the business as a whole. And then we can benchmark that, and we can ask him about progress towards that goal each additional quarter.
Okay.
Dan, are you listening to me?
I'm listening. Oh, am I?
Dan Ives.
Dan Ives, okay.
I don't want these guys to burn any more calls. In fact, I'm gonna ask 1 or 2 broker friends who are on the calls if they can really take that approach.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. Dan's not a friend of yours? You can't pick up the phone?
I'll send him a note.
There you go. That's good. That'd be fun to see if he asked it. Larry, you mentioned the stock price, so it's that time.
Yep.
So you see the stock market, the Dow, the NASDAQ, S&P, all up 50, about 0.50, about 50%.
Isn't that amazing turnaround for the day?
0.5, yeah. 0.5, yeah.
I mean, what did China say that made that difference? What did Putin say that made the difference,
So some people think that it was China and Trump really completely taking the air out of any problem with the upcoming summit.
Well, what did China say?
I think it was more what Trump said. I think something to the effect, the 100% tariffs is not going to fly. It's not sustainable. So kind of, because Putin on Wednesday had said, look, you guys misunderstood it. So it was kind of like, well, we misunderstood it. And then Trump says, but we're going to keep the 100% sitting there. So today he kind of was like, no, we're not, that's not going to happen. So that seemed to be the thing that turned the market. The thing that turned the market down was a problem with Jefferies and a couple of regional banks that had some bad credit situations.
Yeah.
And Tom Lee was all over that. And he was saying, yeah, that was that's why the VIX shot up. The VIX shot up, not because of the international tariffs and stuff. It shot up because...
I know you don't follow it, but there was a bump in the road of the whole alternate finance, or what do they call it?
Yes.
There was a credit crunch in Ethereum and many of the derivative chains and credit schemes, in the cyber world.
Yes, last
And
Friday and Tuesday. Yeah.
yeah, and I think the fact that the market held, and there were no real casualties, I think that may have brought a little bit of respite into the market.
Well, again, Tom Lee said that the credit swaps are still fine and that the corporate bonds are still fine. They're trading almost like treasuries. I mean, it's amazing how low the interest rates on corporate bonds.
Some of them are better bets than treasuries.
Yes, some of them are better bets than treasuries. So anyway, in the middle of all three going up almost exactly the same amount, 0.5. We got Tesla going up 2.5.
No reason.
So generally, when I see that, I go, well, there's got to be something going on with Tesla. So I'm giving Chuck Cook all the credit.
He deserves it.
He said he will eat his hat if we do not have unsupervised full self-driving by the end of the year.
For Chuck Cook to say that, that's a lot, because we are talking about a guy who look, he drives very large airplanes with full self-driving.
Yes.
So he knows what he's doing. And he's such a solid guy. I mean,
and he's conservative. He's conservative.
Very conservative. Very conservative.
This was out of character for Chuck. And he's just been driving that, full self-driving 14.1.2 around, and he says he'll eat his hat if we don't have unsupervised, actually, his actual quote, by December. So Larry,
yeah, I think that's very good, but I'm not sure it drives a whole market.
So I'm kind of kidding.
Yeah.
But not really, because that I consider the number one catalyst to be unsupervised.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt at all.
I see that as top.
Yeah.
That's the number one. Yeah. So anyway, Tesla up nicely. Oh,
did you notice it wasn't even in my question to Elon?
Yeah, because it's like, it's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's look at my favorite one, Larry. Guess what? I'm gonna win this one. Oh, it went back over 4. He looked at me. I thought we were going to get down to. It was like right at 3,999 for a while. It was like 3,999. It was down as low as 3.975.
Wow.
So anyway, but now we're at 4.01. But I still got it for one full day. Does that count? I get it for.
No, you got to get through the close.
No, it was at the close yesterday.
It was at the close yesterday. You win.
Okay, there you go. All right, so I'm still happy.
I didn't even look at the close last night.
So anyway, bonds are looking good. I think we're going to 375 now. I'm not giving a date yet, but I think 375 is now in play. Larry, we're going to have the 25% cut in October, 25% cut in December, and the Fed. What are a couple of Fed governors were saying this week? They see that we're going to have the 5 cuts.
Well, I was going to hold my old house and keep it off the market till the next spring.
Yeah.
Today I made the decision, was today or yesterday, I made the decision to put it on the market.
Oh.
Because I think the mortgage rates are going to drop within the period that the product's on the market, that the house is on the market.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I don't think it matters whether it drops or not, because I think I could be wrong. I mean, if the regional banks will go for a bit, and that could put a hitch in the get along.
I think what's happened, sophisticated buyers, which in your case is going to take a sophisticated buyer. Sophisticated buyers know that they can buy down the rate if they care. A lot of sophisticated buyers are paying all cash anyway. And also sophisticated buyers know they can buy it at the current rate, and 6 months from now, they can refinance for a few $1,000s. So I don't think.
Yeah, if they need a mortgage at all, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So buying it low, I think the market's going to be at the low point over these next couple of months, because next spring, I'm not saying it's going to go crazy again. I think we're going to bottom out over the winter.
I'm probably leaving a few percentage points on the table, but the reason we made the decision is that, we have to run over to the house every other day for one or other reason. And,
Yeah.
we've got this huge garden, pool, takes, and when the spring comes, it takes a lot of work to get it done. And, Jill, my wife has to be there to do it because she has to supervise. She pays a lot of attention and it shows.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that was really the principal argument.
Oil is still sitting at 57.64.
I mean, a year ago, we would have given our eye teeth for $60.
I know, I know, I know. Natural gas back up above, no, right exactly at $3. That's probably right in the midpoint of where it has been recently. Okay, Larry, I'm sorry to say it. I've got another potential
So,
win.
uh,
Gold,
oh,
I got another potential win here. But
good.
even if I do get the win, it was really close because yesterday we got to 43.75,
Oh, yeah.
but we're now at 42.67.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So we could be going down. I'm thinking, 20% wouldn't be that hard after going up 50% this year. 20% retracement wouldn't be that crazy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be unusual at all.
Right. Right. So anyway, we'll see if we get to 3,400 before we get to 4,400. But anyway, it was so close. It was so funny. Silver down 5% in one day. So going down 20, not that hard. Down 5% today, back to $50.
How much of this has to do with Putin and Trump meeting?
Okay, so what do you think, Larry? Are we? I had this conversation just a little while ago with Brian Wang, who we'll be talking about it later about 7:45. Do you think that Trump's going to get the hat trick?
Not this round. I think he'll get it, but not this round.
So will he get China? Will he get a final agreement with China?
Not final, but an agreement that looks pretty good. And the final will come towards the end of the year.
Okay, and on Putin, what's going to happen with Putin? He's got him boxed in pretty good right now, I think.
I think he's going to have to deliver the tomahawks.
Mm,
They're going to have to destroy the Russian oil infrastructure before we get a deal.
wow. And you think that he's going to do that over the threats of Putin?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, if you're right, it could be an interesting fall.
Well, you know what Putin's threat is on the tomahawk? He said he'll no longer be friendly with Trump.
Is that what his threat was? I didn't hear that.
That was his threat today.
That was his
He'll
threat.
no longer be a friend of Trump if Trump
No
does.
longer a friend if he does it. That's great. I like that.
That's like, that's like catnip to Trump.
That's great. I love that. Copper, it's $5, kind of in the middle again of where it's been for a couple of weeks. And the dollar, Larry. Here's an interesting thing. I know we pay attention to it once a month when we watch
Yeah,
cats.
we do. Yeah.
But I really cared, so I went and I dug a little deeper, and it turns out the dollar is it's actually high compared to where it normally is in both the small basket and the big basket.
Wow.
Yeah, even though we're down for the year, but compared to it's kind of where it's been over the last 5 years or whatever, it's
Yeah.
actually higher than average. So there you go.
But is it lower or higher today?
It's low. Oh, today, it's actually like every day, it's mixed. So the Japanese, it's actually unchanged against the euro and lower against the Japanese yen. So that's where we are for today. And the headline is dollar set for weekly loss. I think it's done. I think the dollar's bottoming. That's just me.
I think it's got a way to go.
So my theory would
Well,
be
it could be. It could be. If gold is actually beginning to retreat, it could be true. We'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting when in the next month's numbers come out. and we see the balance of trade be very interesting.
How about the number that came out yesterday, in terms of the deficit?
I didn't see it.
Okay, so on the deficit, I did some numbers on that one.
Luna Senti's kicking my butt. It's taking all my time.
So the deficit was down 340,000 over the last 4 months.
340,000?
I'm sorry, 340 trillion, I don't know, billion.
Million.
340 billion over the last 4 months. That would be over $1 trillion over the year, Larry, if we continue at this rate. That doesn't count the benefits we're going to get with the interest rates dropping. That doesn't count the Trump stuff that he's putting in for next year. We're looking at, if they can maintain just what they just did, we'd be taking $1 trillion off of the deficit next year.
And the interesting question is, how much tax are they going to collect at the lower interest, lower rates of collection, lower rates of tax?
Yeah, well, people are talking about a big surprise coming next February, a big stimulus to the economy that nobody's paying any attention to. And that stimulus is going to be the people who get tips, the people who get Social Security, and that have been paying taxes on their Social Security, and the people that are getting overtime on a regular basis. None of those people are those people are still putting in as they always have. And then come February, they're going to get giant checks back.
Oh, so I'm going to get my Social Security taxes back.
Yeah. Not all of them.
That'd be nice.
Not all of them, Larry, unfortunately, but either will I, but I'll get some of them back.
I wonder if they probably have guys like me cut out of that benefit.
No, I don't think there's any limit. I don't think there's that. Anyway, but that's going to be a big stimulus in.
Look, people who pay the kind of taxes I pay never get a break.
Yeah, I'm 100% positive of that. Okay, let's see. We don't have any pre-market today, Larry. So that only leaves us with Bitcoin down 689. Have you been paying any attention to Bitcoin?
Not really.
107,443.
Yeah, it's down quite a bit, but I think that reflects the disgorgement of this crisis, of the cash crisis, of the credit crisis in the cyber world over the last week.
Yeah, I think there's a huge amount to that. So overall, what I'm wondering, so this is it. This is where I end, unless you got more. Somebody said the other day, somebody that I really respected as a reporter said that Trump is now the most powerful American president certainly since FDR. On the world stage, on the US stage, he's got massive power. And so now he's got tons of, what do they call it? He can use up chits, he can spend some of that that he's received as a result of what he's done. If he gets a deal with China, or we feel like it was a good meeting with China, and then if he has a good meeting with Putin, it's just going to continue to get better. At some point, the U.S. massive presence over this entire economy, over world peace, at some point, the American thing is going to be a real thing. I mean, Trump talks about it, a year ago we were dead, but now we're, amazing. But at some point it's going to play out exactly what he's saying.
In these things, there are always reverses. I mean, what you're saying is true, but there's a whole lot of contingencies that go out into the future.
Right.
And presidents often get, their comeuppances. And I'm not saying Trump's going to, but I mean, I remember, you think Trump really doth bestride this narrow world, but think about Reagan. Think about his stature after the second election, in the second term. And then we had this whole crisis with Iran-Contra or whatever it was.
Right.
And, overnight, he had to rebuild from scratch. So these things happen. So we need to be prepared for them.
All right. Well, I will promise to be prepared, but right now I'm just going to go off of I'm going to go off my optimism going into the future.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think it's going to impact the dollar. As the dollar gets stronger, I think it hurts crypto, it hurts gold, it hurts silver. That's kind of I'm thinking that if China has been piling up gold, record buys month after month after month, at a certain point, China's going to go, we got enough. And if all of a sudden the number one buyer of gold stops buying, what usually happens?
I agree. I don't disagree that China's strategy could be very, very brittle here. Very brittle.
All right. Well, if I was China, I would start selling now. They've made so much money on these buys. They should start, and maybe they could do it some way, that is not really obvious. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. China is a fearsome competitor.
Yep, that's true. 100% right on that. Larry, any last thoughts on this Friday night?
No last thoughts other than, go Tesla.
Go Tesla. All right, there you go. I think that's going to happen. All right. As always, Larry, appreciate you coming on, and to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.